Hello. This is the Fine Arts Music Lectures, lesson number 12, the third out of 5 lessons on rhythm. So today, let's just get started. We're going to talk about the beats within a measure. We're going to talk about the downbeat, the upbeat, and the pickup. They're kind of common beats in a measure. The accent, what that means, and also syncopation. And then we're going to talk about the concept of tempo and give you some sort of vocabulary to go along with that. Remember to write these things down in your notebook so that you can have them as reference for when you're studying and for when you're in class as well. All right, here we go. So, a little review. Remember that here we have a treble clef and a time signature. Remember that there are two numbers in a time signature. The one on top tells us the number of the notes that would fit in a measure, in this case 4, it's in red there, and then just below that is the type of note. So we have 4, which indicates that we have quarter notes. So we're going to have 4 quarter notes in a measure for our little example here. So as you can see there, we have 4 beats and 4 quarter notes, so 1 note per beat there. So there you have it. Now we're going to talk about some of the different beats. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's talk about which ones are which, and the kind of terms that go along with them. Beat 1 is called the downbeat. It's the first beat in the measure. You can tell that it's the downbeat of the measure because of the downward motion of a conductor's baton. So if you see a conductor conducting, they'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. So that 1 always comes down. Always kind of back home at beat 1. So it has a greater emphasis than other beats. Like I said, it feels like home. It's kind of home base. It's 1. It's sort of the feeling of finality of ending and beginning as well. So downbeat is the most basic one. Next, we have the last beat in the measure, which is called the upbeat. So it's the opposite of the downbeat, obviously. And this one comes on the last beat of the measure. So in this case, in our example here, since we have 4 beats in a measure, 4 notes there, beat 4 is going to be the upbeat. So you can tell that it's the upbeat by watching the conductor because it's the upward motion of the baton that comes right before the downbeat. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, upbeat, downbeat. So when we're describing upbeat and downbeat, and you're watching a conductor, it literally means up and down motion of the hand. It's what's considered a weak beat. It's up and it's waiting to go back down to that downbeat. So there's a little tiny feeling of tension there that needs to be released into that downbeat. And then the last one we're going to talk about is similar to an upbeat, but it's just a little bit different. It's a kind of an upbeat, I guess. It's called a pickup. A pickup. And a pickup is an upbeat that is prior to a composition's first downbeat. So it happens before it's the first notes in a song, but they're not a downbeat, which happens, for example, in this example over here. It's happy birthday to you. So happy isn't a downbeat. We're waiting for it's happy birthday. So birth, when you say birth and happy birthday, that's the downbeat. The upbeat is happy birthday. So that upbeat in this case would be called a pickup. So the reason it's called a pickup again is because it not only that it's an upbeat, but it's an upbeat before the first notes of a piece. It's the very first notes of a melody of a composition. So not every composition has a pickup. Some do, some don't. Happy Birthday happens to have a pickup, like I was just singing, but there are plenty of them that don't. But it's just something to listen for. So there's that feeling, again, because an upbeat is a weak beat, has that feeling of a little bit of tension. Happy birthday to you. We're really waiting for happy birthday. We're waiting for the word birth to sort of feel like that strong beat resolution there. So, some other words that have to do with rhythm is an accent. Accent's an important word. You can tell there's an accent on a note when it has that little sideways V on the top of it, over the note head, or maybe under the note head, depending on which way the stem is going. An accent is emphasis placed on a note, essentially. So it's meaning that when the composer writes an accent, he or she is indicating that that note, whichever one is accented, should really be emphasized, probably played louder, probably played with a little more intense articulation than just another note that doesn't have one. So they're for sort of special notes, they're accents. And a term that goes with accent is syncopation. Syncopation. The syncopation displaces the natural accent that we find. So I was talking about earlier about downbeats and upbeats having sort of being strong beats and weak beats. In syncopation, in syncopated music, like jazz, for example, hip-hop is really a syncopated music. A lot of pop music is very syncopated as well. The musician or the composer or both put an accent, so a stress, an emphasis, on the weak beats. So it creates sort of an off-balance feeling. And we're going to listen to some examples of this in class. But yeah, it's especially heard in rap and hip-hop today. That's what rappers do, is they use syncopation all the time to create that sort of feeling of flow and that sort of offbeat, interesting rhythm. So yeah, syncopation is displacing the natural accent and putting those accents on what we call weak beats. So for example, if we're in a measure of 4/4 like we are over here, the weak beats are going to be beats 2 and 4. And notice that if you look on there, the accents occur on beats 2 and 4, so that would be a syncopated rhythm, which is why I put it there. So, okay, tempo is the last big concept for this video. Tempo is simply the speed at which the beats occur. So remember, beat is normally steady. It's that steady tempo. It's that thing that you're tapping your foot to when you listen to music. It's always going. Makes it easy to dance to. That's the beat. And the tempo is just the speed of the beat. So tempo is just another word for speed. So whether it's fast or slow, that's we talk about it in terms of tempo. So there are some terms that we use that composers and arrangers use in classical music to indicate the speed of the beat, or the tempo, as it's called. And there are 4 down here. There are lots more than that, but the 4 that you should know for this class at least are adagio, which means slow, andante, which means moderate, allegro, which means fast, and vivace, which means fast and lively, which is a little bit faster than allegro. And as you might have noticed, these are Italian terms. They're not direct Italian translations, but they're just part of the musical nomenclature now. So adagio meaning slow, andante for moderate, allegro for fast, and vivace for fast and lively, just a little faster than allegro. And then there are a couple of terms that I want you to know also when a composer wants to change the tempo in the middle of the piece. So let's say they want to start the piece off slow. Maybe they'd write adagio at the beginning of the piece, but then they want it to gradually get faster. So it's not going to be steady. They want it to gradually get faster. They would write accelerando, which just means speed up. As you can sort of piece together, it's from the same word as in English for accelerate, to get faster. And then if a composer wants to start a piece very fast, let's say vivace maybe, and then slow down to adagio, he or she would write ritardando, which means to slow down. So there you have it. Here's an example of a tempo marking in a piece of music. It's highlighted in green over there. It says allegro, which means fast. And this is a little sort of easy piano version of the Hallelujah chorus from Handel's oratorio, The Messiah. Also notice that it says right down here the It says allegro, fast and bright, 120 to 106 BPM. That means beats per minute. So 120 beats per minute means 2 beats for every second. 2 beats for every second. So just a way to sort of standardize the tempo. So to recap what we talked about today, we talked about the different beats in a measure, the downbeat, the upbeat, and then the pickup, which is a sort of upbeat. And we talked about accents and how they're used in syncopation. Then we talked about tempo, which is the speed of the beat, and then the sort of the words that go along with that. So that is it for this portion of rhythm. Stay tuned for the next one. See you next time.